What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we were close and we really fought well in this game, but unfortunately the Chicago Bulls did end up losing to the Boston Celtics, and there's a lot to get through in this video. Some of it was positive, of course, but most of it would be fairly negative in this timeout. But one thing we can never question about this game against Boston is that the Bulls fought back. The Bulls wanted this win, and unfortunately, as close as we got, we just could not get it done. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls overall game today. Who is your player of the game? Your thoughts and opinions on how this game went in general. We lost this game 99 to 107. Again, I think the scoreline kind of flattered Boston a little bit. They were definitely not 8-point winners over the Chicago Bulls, especially in the last couple of, minutes in that game. When we really fought back, we brought it down to 2 points, I believe. That was the closest that we got. But then, of course, some guys that you didn't expect to make the big threes in the game with Boston made those big threes. Grant Williams made a big three. Al Horford made a big three. I think we did some good things in that fourth quarter that really could have ended us sealing us with a win if things went differently. But of course, you got to give respect to Boston. They're still, and they have been for the entire NBA season, the best offensive team in the NBA. And I think even throughout the whole game, we really struggled containing them, ladies and gentlemen. And unfortunately, that's something the Bulls have to handle. Now, I know many people will say DeMar DeRozan obviously got hurt. If we had DeMar DeRozan, we might have been able to win this game. You got two closers out there instead of one and whatnot. I understand that completely. Maybe the game doesn't get as out of hand as it did in the third quarter with DeMar DeRozan in the lineup and whatnot. But at the same time, I just really thought our fourth quarter was really good. And with DeMar, without DeMar, I really thought we had a chance, man. There was a glimmer of hope for the Bulls in the fourth quarter. It just wasn't meant to be. But the Bulls fought. And I'm very, very happy with that, because there were a lot of things stacked against us in this game for sure. And DeMar DeRozan is just the icing on the cake in that instance. He went down. He's not playing for the rest of the game. Yes, it puts us at a major disadvantage, because DeMar DeRozan is the only guy, really, that we've not seen not play for the Chicago Bulls on a consistent basis, realistically. Zach LaVine, we know how to play without Zach LaVine, because Zach LaVine has been injured a lot. Same with Vucevic. Vucevic had a 7-game stretch where he was out. We know how to play without Nikola Vucevic. DeMar DeRozan has only really missed maybe one game at a time for the Bulls. So DeMar DeRozan being out for this game, it's very rare that we see that. So the Bulls had to play differently. And the fact that we came back and we really fought well, it shows heart, it shows resilience, it shows dedication, and I'm not going to be upset with that. I'm not going to be upset with this loss, even though there were some bad things that the Bulls did. And it's true, the Bulls did some bad things. But when you fight and you fight and you fight, you made it tough for Boston. Again, Boston, top of the Eastern Conference, and you made it very tough for them. That's all you can ask for realistically out of this team. The fact that they competed well, we've beaten Boston already before this season. It's not like we know we can't beat them, but at the same time, we really fought well in this game, and we had to make them work for it. This could have easily been in a different night. If the Bulls, maybe at the start of the season, this could have easily been a 30-point loss for the Bulls. Could have easily been well over a 30-point loss for the Bulls. But at the same time, man, this is the evolution of the Chicago Bulls. Even in a loss, you're finding positives to take away from this Bulls team, and the positive is that they showed heart. Something that we don't always see, something we might not always see for the rest of the season, but in this game against Boston, they showed heart, and I salute the Bulls for that. So let's talk a little bit about the positives and the negatives of that game. Speaking of more realistically about the positives of this game, I really thought the Bulls, again, defensively in the fourth quarter was easily their best. I appreciated guys like Alex Caruso returning in this game. Ayo Dosunmu as well played very solid defense. I thought we took advantage of the paint a little bit in the second half with Vucevic in particular. Obviously, Zach LaVine and Vucevic both really showed up when we needed them in the fourth quarter. Vucevic with a couple of fadeaways and a couple of threes. Zach LaVine, obviously, with a tremendous fourth quarter performance, really stepped up and elevated his game. Those are some of the good things that the Bulls did today. I thought our assists and steals were solid as well overall. So those are the positives that the Bulls had. Let's talk about the negatives real quick, because again, there is negatives to talk about. You can't just completely ignore the negatives on this team. The biggest negative I'll take away from it is the hustle plays that did not go our way in the fourth quarter and throughout most of the game. The fourth quarter is the time where if you, I guess, waste minutes, waste seconds on the shot clock, waste minutes in total because you're not getting rebounds. Other teams are outworking you. Multiple people for the Boston side of things are crashing the glass when the Bulls simply can't get their hands on the ball. That's more shots for Boston in the fourth quarter than what they needed. And at the end of the day, that really hurt this Bulls team. The more second chance opportunities you give to them, the more likely they're going to win. And that's how every team in the NBA will be. If you have more shots than the other team, you're probably going to win the game. And I don't know how many shots Boston had compared to the Bulls, but if I had to take a guess, Boston had a lot more shots than us because of the second chance opportunities and the offensive rebounds that they managed to pursue in the game. So again, that's one big thing for me, in my opinion. I thought the defense for the first three quarters for this Bulls team was, I would say, lackluster. I wouldn't necessarily say it was horrifically bad, but it was very lackluster. I thought the Bulls were not connected well with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who of course are two of the best Boston players. They are really, really good players, and they're both going to be all-stars, I'm sure of it. So, of course, that it's easier said than done. We got to play better defense on Jason Tatum, who's averaging 30 points per game, and Jaylen Brown, who I'm not sure what he averages, but I'm assuming it's around 25 points per game, something around those lines. Of course, it's hard to say, yeah, we got to guard them better, but I thought we didn't necessarily guard them well either. Jason Tatum had a ridiculously amount of open threes. Some of them he made, some of them that he missed. Both of them had very good driving lanes to the basket. Our help defense was very much lackluster as well. Even when we were in the right spots, we would move away from the right spots because we didn't want to foul them and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that goes with the territory. The Bulls foul a lot, and a lot of it is because we're allowing people to drive to the basket and we're not stopping them in their stride. And there's no help defense to help with, obviously, guys like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, even guys like Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon as well. It just became a little bit too much, and we gave away a little bit too much fouls, which led to them going to the free throw line. You might be looking at this game and say the Bulls didn't necessarily get the right calls, the refs and all that. I'm not having that in this game. I don't think that is where the direction needs to go for those people saying that the refs are at fault. That's not true. It just isn't true. At the end of the day, I think we fell in love with the three-point shot too much in the second quarter. And the reason why, because I believe in the second quarter, Boston had 9 free throws to the Bulls 0. I'm not sure how it ended, but that was a statistic throughout the second quarter. But that's because we fell in love with the three-point line. Dragic, Kobe, Zach, everybody was shooting threes. So, of course, we're not going to get foul shots and free throws if we're going to just fall in love with the three-point line and not make the three-pointers either. So again, there are some things that were wrong with this game, and fouling is one of them. Of course, offensive rebounding and hustle plays was one of them, and we have to see better from this Bulls team. And again, there is more to talk about in this instance, but those are the things that I thought that went wrong, and those are some of the things that went right for the Bulls team today. The big elephant in the room. DeMar DeRozan went out of this game and did not return. He has a right calf strain or right knee strain. I can't remember what it was. I think I saw Casey Johnson on Twitter basically say his early prediction is that he'll play against the Wizards. I guess it really all depends on how bad the strain is. DeMar DeRozan is a warrior. He's a guy that at the end of the day, he just keeps on battling. He keeps on fighting. He very rarely misses games. He very rarely gets injured because he knows his game so well and he knows how to take care of himself as well. So the fact that we saw DeMar go down in this game, I thought it would have been a lot worse. It was a non-contact injury. Again, I was fearing for the worst. And look, I guess that's what Bulls fans are programmed to feel because we've seen so many of these injuries not go our way. We've seen so many of these injuries become a lot worse. Again, Lonzo Ball, for the recent example. You're expecting the worst, and the worst has come to light. So thankfully for DeMar, at least from my understanding, his injury is not that bad. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to be returning against the Washington Wizards either. But again, it is DeMar DeRozan. He is known to play a lot of NBA games. He is known to not miss time. If he is available to play, I'm sure he'll put himself in the position to play. But I think we better be safe than sorry. Let's not make things any worse than it needs to be. I think a lot of people felt like after DeMar DeRozan went down, we weren't going to win the game. ultimately you guys were right, but again, we fought really, really well. And I am going to take that as a positive for this Bulls team. Yes, we lost. Losing happens in the NBA. If you're expected to beat every elite team every single game, when you're not an elite team yourself, or you're a team that's battling from under 500, it's just never going to go your way consistently. But of course, you can't question the fight. You can't question the effort. You can't question the energy in the fourth. I thought the fourth quarter was easily our best quarter. Zach LaVine erupted. Tate took some really tough shots, went in, attacked the basket, it went in, and I want to see that progression of Zach LaVine in the future. Zach LaVine was off for most of the game, but when we needed him the most, he was there for us. And that is what a leader has to be, and that's what he showed in this game. He can be a leader for this team, but we need to see it more often, of course. That's really all I've got to talk about for the Bulls. Looking at the must improve. Hard one to give, of course, but if I had to give one, I would probably go with either Io or Patrick Williams, because they were mainly responsible for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Of course, it's very, very difficult to just say go and guard them better, but I feel like over the past 3 games that we versed Boston, even in one of the games that we've lost to them, we did guard Tatum and we did guard Brown better. I don't think Brown had the most amazing game, but at the same time, Jason Tatum was fantastic. I'd probably give it to one of those two. I thought Patrick Williams, especially in the first quarter, he looked off. He looked disconnected from the rest of the team. So I would probably go to him. He looked a little bit lost out there for me. So I would say Patrick Williams. My player of the game, that's a hard one to give, because it obviously would be between Nikola Vucevic and Zach LaVine. If you're looking at the stats real quick, we could quickly discuss the stats of those two. Obviously, Zach LaVine had a 27 point, 7 rebound, 6 assist performance. Vucevic had a 21 point and 13 rebound performance. If I had to pick, I would pick Zach LaVine, but Vucevic was definitely more intact for the player of the game the whole night. He was more consistent throughout the whole night, but Zach LaVine erupted for his points, and he playmaked, and he got his rebounds as well. He did very solid stuff, and I think my player of the game goes to Zach LaVine. As the Bulls record now, I believe, is 19-22. We fall back to 3 games below 500. Again, this win, if we've had won this game, would have been huge for our team. And again, we're trying to escape the below 500 mark, and we've been through a very difficult stretch of our season so far. Again, we versed Cavs twice, we versed Brooklyn, we versed Philly, we versed Utah, we versed Boston. I think overall we've come out of this period, we've come out of this stretch extremely positively, in my opinion. Bad losses, of course. The Cavs won, can never forget that loss. But at the same time, we've really come out of this stretch in a positive way. And now we're going to be entering a stretch where it's still going to be tough, especially if DeMar doesn't play for some of these games. But I see some of the next games that we have as winnable, and the Bulls got to bring that energy, competitiveness to these games and not play to the opponent's level. If we can do that, we might be a team that will just, I guess, begin to really start winning on a consistent basis and getting above 500. That's the mark for the Bulls. That needs to be our goal heading into the halfway point of the season. Anyway, our next game is going to be against the Washington Wizards. I don't believe they'll have Bradley Beal in this game, so I'll talk a little bit more about that in the injury updates video, because I'm assuming there will be one ahead of the Washington game. And that's going to be big for Washington, of course. That's their best player that's not going to be playing. For the Bulls side of things, if DeMar doesn't play, maybe it kind of evens out what's going to be happening for this Bulls team. Bradley Beal doesn't play, DeMar doesn't play. But let's hope that DeMar DeRozan is okay. Again, he's probably he's arguably our best player overall this season. Zach LaVine is really becoming that leader that we want him to be, for sure. But having one of them out is disastrous for this Bulls team, especially when we're fighting so hard to save our season. So I'm hoping that it's nothing too serious and he'll be able to come back as soon as possible. In my opinion, he's the last guy that we need to see out. So altogether, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Good fight by the Bulls. Resilient effort. Valiant effort. It did come out in a loss, and we move on into the next one. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.